So good evening, everyone. Again, thank you for joining. And again, we start as usual with quieting our mind. By watching the breath. Then we try to generate good intention by reflecting, contemplating. That all our unhappiness and problem mainly arise from our own undisciplined, unsubdued mind. Even though there are some external contributing factors, but it's mainly the root. The main is our own state of mind. Is due to our own afflictive emotions. Until we do something about those afflictive emotions, nothing can make us free from the problems, all the problems, and unhappy mind. No matter what we change externally. Therefore, it's very crucial to work with our mind to reduce and overcome those afflictive emotions. And by overcoming those afflictive emotions from the very root of it, by cutting the very root of all those afflictive emotions, which is the fundamental ignorance. Of self-grasping. To do that, we need to cultivate the wisdom that realizes the ultimate truth, reality. And in order to develop that, we need to practice through reflection, contemplation, meditations, as well as studying, learning. and supported by purification, accumulation of merit, the blessings from the gurus, the Buddhas. So with the hope to actualize that wisdom, we have come here together to study, learn, and discuss. May it become cause and condition to obtain our highest potential, the fully awakened state. So we can be most help and benefit to each and every sentient beings. Okay. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent, destroyer, the one gone beyond, the four destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and good conduct, Sugata, Lord of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent, destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subdued from the Shakya plane, I prostrate, make offering, and go for refuge. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dhamma refuge, homage to the Great Sangha, to all three ever devout homage, to all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms, atoms in all aspects, with their supreme faith I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions, subdue your mind truly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual appearations, a flame of a lamp in illusions, a drop of dew or bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning and cloud, see conditioned things as such. Through this merit, may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the four of faults, and be delivered from samsara's oceans, perturbed by the wave of aging, sickness, and death. I prostrate with the Arya triple gem. Thus did I hear one time the Bhagwan was dwelling on the mass of Vulture Mountain in Rajgriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagwan was observed in the concentration on the category of phenomena called profound perception. Also at that time, the bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of profound perfection and wisdom and beheld those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara: how should any son of the lineage train who wish to practice the activities of profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra: Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wish to practice the activity of profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those five aggregates, also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness form, emptiness not other than form, form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factor, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all the phenomena of emptiness without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factor, no process, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no order, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There is no I element and so on, up to and including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, and up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and the path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on dual imperfection and wisdom, the mind without obscuration, without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the endpoint nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in 3 times also manifestly, completely awakened with unsurprisable, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on perfection or wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of perfection or wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurprised mantra, the mantra equal to the unequal, the mantra that totally satisfies all suffering, that should be known as truth, since it's not false. The mantra of perfection or wisdom declare that Gade Gade, Paragate, Parasamgade, Bodhe Soha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Master, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from the concentration and commanded the Bodhisattva Master, Are Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage, it is like that, it is like that. One should practice a profound perfection of wisdom, just as you indicated. Even Tathagata rejoiced. The Bhagavan, having thus spoken, the venerable Shariputra, Buddha, the Bodhisattva Master of Are Avalokiteshvara, and those surrounding in their entirety, along the worlds of gods, human, asura, and Gandhava were overjoyed and highly praised. That's spoken by the Bhagavan. Sashibege chonshe do tarira leshe yende gebade sange shindo mide owai rogu namada shin Chebayo yedam gururana mendala niyataya. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create to listen to the Dhamma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye chodan soge sonam la chanchu padu dane kasa. Dagi shwe gibe sonam ge lola penche sangye dupa. Sangye chodan soge sonam la chanchu padu dane kasa. Dagi shwe gibe sonam lola penche sangye dupa sho. So I think we have went through the presentations of the selfness of phenomena through the reasoning of interdependent and how emptiness is understood correctly through the reasoning of interdependent, and how interdependent is understood correctly through the reasoning of emptiness. Not only through the reasoning of each of them, but also how the meaning of emptiness is interdependent, how meaning of interdependent is emptiness. So to see them, instead of seeing them as a contradiction, but seeing them as actually not only supporting, complementing, but actually the meaning of emptiness is interdependent, understanding that is independent. The meaning of interdependence is emptiness. So that kind of explanations, of course, by the Buddha and clarified more by Nagarjuna, and so that is why Nagarjuna says that Buddha's explanations is marvelous of all the marvelous and wonderfulness of among all the wonderfulness. So I think that is where I think we kind of left last week. So yeah, that is I think in terms of PDF, 251 page number. And I think the book is 371. So next one, Lama Tsongkhapa, the actual advice Lama Tsongkhapa given is very important to differentiate between existence and truly existence, non-existent and non-truly existence. There's a huge difference between existent and truly existence. And there is huge difference between non-existent and non-truly existence. And if we are unable to differentiate those differences, then a lot of problem arises. In understanding the emptiness correctly, and a lot of problem arises when we are unable to differentiate that way, then to fall in one of the extremes. So, in Chandrakirti's commentary middle way, it is clearly mentioned, that the difference between that, where he says, like reflections of, the moon in the, let's say, the moon in the lake, even though it does not exist by its nature or by inherently, and therefore is empty. At the same time, the wise persons understand, that it exists by coming together of many causes and conditions. The water, and not only the water is clear, so it is free from all the muddies and all other circumstances, because if it's too muddy, then you wouldn't see the reflections. So, and then the moon itself, if the moon is obscured by the cloud, then again you wouldn't see, so the moon not being obscured, and then the person who is seeing. So through coming of those many causes and conditions, then there is the reflection of the moon in the lake that exists, even though it do not exist by inherently by its nature, therefore is empty. So that is explained clearly by in that middle by Chandrakirti, So that where he say is merely existence, where he reject it exists from its own nature inherently, but at the same time he proceed that it merely exists. So differentiating two, those two things. Therefore, although they are observed as existent, they are without production by its nature or by its own power or by inherently existence. So, so then we fall into one of the two extremes if we don't differentiate those fours, existing and truly existing and non-existent and non-truly existent. If we cannot differentiate, then there's a danger to fall in one of the extreme. The moment we think it exists, then we think it is truly existence. The moment we think it is non-truly existent, then we think it does not exist. That is where, you see, the moment we believe, the moment we think it exists, that very moment, then we think it is truly existence. That is one extreme. And the moment we think is non-truly existent, then we think is non-existence, because we are unable to differentiate non-existent and non-truly existence. And so therefore, that is the why some, why we or some fall into those extreme due to not being able to So that is also explained by Aradeva in his 400 stanza, same meanings. The moment you say so it's the same meaning that once you have that kind of not being able to differentiate, then you will have very difficult to able to find the middle way, free from the two extreme, and not being, you will have a difficult to find the right, correct understanding of emptiness by finding the middle way, because you fall into one of the extreme, because not being able to differentiate those two things or the four things. And then how can we eliminate the two extreme, the manner in which those two extremes are eliminated, so we can eliminate the true extreme and then find the unmistaken, correct middle way, correct understanding of emptiness, the middle way, while we understand the absent or empty of truly existence, or empty of existence by its own entity, or inherent existence. They all have same meaning here, even though they are empty of their existence by its own entity or inherent existence. But while is that within that emptiness, from there, even though it is empty of existence by its own entity or inherent existence, at the same time, within that, it has the ability to be able to function through the cause and effect, even without inherent existence. So I think that, again, to see both at the same time within the same objects, empty of inherently existing or existing its own entity, at the same time that object has the ability to function due to certain cause and conditions. So because it has the ability to function and the cause and effect differently, therefore it exists. If it's something non-existent, then it wouldn't have that functionings, the ability to functions, So therefore it exists, but at the same time is not truly an inherent existence. So that is how you find the middle way. So then Lama Tsongkhapa explained a little bit what the extreme here, and I don't think we need to go so much here. I think it is, I think in English, I think it doesn't make much sense in a way. In Tibetan, is because here when we say ta lung, ta extreme here is, it has many meaning in Tibetan. That one word, ta, has many different meanings. So here Lama Tsongkhapa, saying, what it means, that particular ta here, when we say the two extremes, because, and that is why I think Tibetan language is very rich. At the same time, it can be very complicating because it is the same word, it can have 10 different meanings, and so therefore that can, from one perspective, is extremely rich, but from another perspective, it can be very complicating because you have to understand the context of that to understand the meaning of that word. And so here, Lama Tsongkhapa go through the different meaning of the ta, and especially what here the ta, the extreme here means, basically extreme means here, the extreme here of ta is going against the reality, and when you go against the reality, either by exaggerating more, such as even though there's no truly existing, but our mind ignorance thing, there's truly existing. So exaggerating or superimposing in something which is not there. So that is, far away from the reality. Then the other one is, I don't know whether you can say under exaggerating. Not under exaggeration. What will be the opposite of that? When you try to make it more less than what is there. Yeah, Mary, you want to say
minimizing?
Minimizing, maybe, yeah, maybe. Minimizing, or maybe minimizing is similar, but I think maybe something that exists, something in reality, there is something exists, but you actually proclaim or proceed that it does not exist. So that is again far away from the reality. In reality, there's something exists, but you proclaim or you proceed that it does not exist. And so when you do either of them, then it becomes extreme, because you fall into one extreme, because you become far away and distant from the reality. So that is, on the other hand, things that are not truly existent, and when your mind or you think that is non-truly existent, that is not extreme. And something exists by depending through the dependent arising, and when your mind and when you conceive that as a something exists independently, interdependently, then that is not extreme. So that is what Lama Tsongkhapa explaining here. Sometimes when you actually read the word, sometimes when I read the English, sometimes I have to read Tibetan again. Sometimes the way it is put, sometimes, yeah. So then there is source for that, and then the lack of inherent existence inverted is established as inherent. If something is not inherently existence, if something is not inherently existent, then it has to be established inherently existent, because there can't be in between. Either is inherently existent or either is non-inherent existence. And and so and then also, yeah, that is, if something is not ultimately non-existent, then it ultimately exists. And if something is ultimately non-existent, then yeah, okay, then it's non-ultimately existent. And then same, non-assertion conventionality, and that is not what we explain, because again, even though it is explained, there's non-truly or inherently existent or ultimate existence, but it is never explained that there is non-conventionality or relatively non-existence. So what it means, even though you refute ultimately existent, but you don't refute conventional existence. Because sometimes when ultimately existing refuted, then it's sometimes you get mistaken to think that it is refuted even relatively or conventionally. So in this verse, that what it is saying is, even though the Madhyamikas, the middle way school, refute ultimately existence, but it does not refute conventional existence or relative existence. So again, that is and so again, it is saying, that, again, it is kind of reinforcing dependent arising. Reinforcing dependent arising because of relative and conventional reality is not refuted, And then in the Nagarjuna 70 stanza of emptiness, depending on this that arises, again, that clearly shows cause and effect. Okay, cause and effect, dependent arising. This worldly mode was not refuted. So here again, it says, such existence by depending on cause and condition has never been refuted. And again, Nagarjuna misunderstood at his time, and even much more later, a lot of people have misunderstood that he was refuting everything. And therefore, they felt that he was kind of almost like nihilism, So then when you see all this, including these verses, and we went to many other verses, he's never refuting everything. He's refuting, inherent existence or existence by his own interior, but he's not refuting dependent arisings. He's not refuting, not only he's not refuting, actually he explained before, the meaning of emptiness is as a dependent arising. And the meaning of dependent arising emptiness, so, And I think next one, I think it seems like the next one, the next passage seems to be refuting, sometimes certain practitioners try to differentiate between, that thing does not exist or is not non-existence. They try to differentiate that, and Lama Tsongkhapa here is saying there's no difference. It's only playing with the word when you say that, when you investigate, it means same. When you say it does not exist, or when you say it's not not non-existence. I don't know, in English, it's when you say non-existent, does it seems like existence? Yeah. Yeah, in English, it seems like it is. So I think, I don't know, in English, in Tibetan, it is meba, and mimba, mimba. So there is slightly different words, and if you really analyze it, it is the same thing. But sometimes people try to differentiate, or it is not existent, but is not that non-existence. But I don't know this in English. When I see actually not non-existent, it seems like it's existence, isn't it? Is that does that word give you that impressions? So then there is huge difference, So I want to say, what it says in the other one. It is same. It is not existence. It is not non-existence. In Tibetan,
It's a Geshe.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the way that it's written is it's not putting similar things together. So the comparison, he takes two things and he compares it to two things. So of the first two, you have to compare the first thing of the second two things. So he's comparing is not existent with it does not exist.
Yeah.
And he compares it exists with it is not non-existent. Those are the things you get. So that makes more sense.
Yes. Now, yeah. That is. So there is it's not existent and it does not exist. Sometimes they say, it is not. It does not exist, but is non-existence. So they differentiate that. Some scholars, philosophers, practitioners, they try to explain that it doesn't mean is non-existent. It doesn't mean it does not exist, but it just means non-existent. So they try to, so that kind of, here Lama Tsongkhapa is saying, that is, you are just playing with the word, you are being kind of yeah, there are so I guess maybe we they said, when you ask them, does not it exist? They will say, they say is neither non-existent, neither is existence, in that way. And I think sometimes, so anyway, I think Lama Tsongkhapa is trying to refute that kind of, trying to differentiate that way, saying it is a fixation mere word, and actually in meaning, there's no real difference between the, when you really analyze and investigate deeply, then there's no difference between something that is not existent and something it does not exist, and something that exists and sometimes is something which not existent, which some of the philosopher or practitioner try to differentiate that. And so, yeah, I think that is where. So then coming to the next, having up to here, it has established the emptiness of phenomena, and within phenomena, compounded phenomena or conditioned phenomena, now presenting the emptiness of non-compounded or non-conditioned phenomena or permanent phenomena. Okay. I know sometimes, people get kind of, a lot of time people have difficulty of permanent phenomena. How can there be a permanent phenomena? But if you study the Buddhist writings, basically all phenomena divide into two, permanent or impermanent. Impermanent or permanent, Impermanent phenomena, conditioned phenomena, compounded phenomena means same, uncompounded phenomena, unconditioned phenomena, permanent phenomena means same. And then, within the compounded phenomena, then there are three categories, the physical matter, the consciousness, and then another phenomenon that is neither of them, such as the persons. So after all of that compounded phenomena have been established, emptiness of that, then now is uncompounded phenomena, the permanent phenomena. So that is where it is. So here, Lama Tsongkhapa, once the compounded phenomena, such as the persons, and the phenomena, compounded phenomena has been established as not truly existing by way of reasoning, many reasoning that has been already explained before, whether it is one or different with its designations, whether it is through the reasoning or dependent arisings, and through the four extremes, reasoning, whether it's from the self, others, both, or cause, without cause, through the reasoning of the seven reasoning of Sherab, and so forth. So, all of that has been explained with many different reasons. Here, then, it is established, then you wouldn't have much difficulties, little difficult that uncompounded phenomena, such as the space. So some of the examples are permanent. Space is one of them, analytical cessations. Analytical cessations is, through meditations, by using analytical meditation with the wisdom realizing emptiness, with the wisdom realizing emptiness, directly, the wisdom through the directly realizing emptiness, then you eliminate or you eradicate the object to be abandoned, such as the object to be abandoned in the path of seeing, the object to be abandoned at the path of meditations. When that is abandoned, so then that is the analytical cessations, is that, by applying the antidote, through applying the antidote, such as the direct wisdom realizing emptiness, then you have cessations, that is analytical cessations. And non-analytical cessation is not necessarily by applying the antidote, but when the cause and condition doesn't come together, so then there's no production, so it doesn't arise. So there is cessation. It is cessation not because of by applying the antidote, but because the cause and conditions are not there for the whatever, whether it's a delusion or whatever, whether negative karma, whatever that is to arise it, Do you get it? There are two ways that they do not arise. One is by applying the antidote, it doesn't allow it to arise. The other is other conditions are not there, not because there's antidote, but other conditions are not there to give rise to that. And so there's cessations, there come because, so that is what it means, non-analytical cessations here, referring to that. And the reality do not truly exist. And then the emptiness itself, is a unconditioned phenomena. And with these intentions, it says in root of text of the emptiness by Nagarjuna, compounded phenomena are not established. So how could the uncompounded phenomena be established as truly existence? So one way of presenting it is, if there's no compounded phenomena, then there would not be uncompounded phenomena, isn't it? We talked about last time mutual dependent arisings. Do you remember? Last week we talked about mutual dependent arising. Because there is small, then we talk about big. Because there's big, we talk about small. If there's no concept of small, there wouldn't be the concept of big. If there's no concept of big, there wouldn't be concept of the small. So they depend on each other. This side, that side, big, small, good, bad, all of that. Same way, when we talk about compounded phenomena, is dependent on uncompounded phenomena in relation to, and uncompounded phenomena is, again, if there's no compounded phenomena, we cannot talk about uncompounded phenomena as well. And so therefore, so if there is no compounded phenomena, there's no uncompounded phenomena. And if the compounded phenomena not truly established, truly existent, then uncompounded phenomena cannot be also truly established. So in that way, that is one way of presenting it as it is here. Yeah. And I don't know, whether, I don't know, maybe you can discuss, whether space is, compounded phenomena or non-compounded phenomena, same as the emptiness, and the cessations, I think I think I think a lot of people have difficulty with that is because then they think if it's permanent, then it cannot be dependent arisings. They think that if it's a permanent, then how can it be a dependent arisings? So therefore, something permanent, how that can be a dependent arising? I think that is for some people. I think that is the issue. Why And I think we have to understand, when you talk about space, the idea of space, the space is not the blue that we think that we see, with that is the blue color in the space, but space is merely is just a state that is merely empty of something that can be abstracted or touchable, and that is what it is called space, Just as emptiness is merely absent of truly existence, okay? Emptiness means is absence of truly existence. That is what emptiness is. And space is absence of something that can be abstracting, something that can be touchable, you know. So that is um, mm, is that nature does not change at all. You know, the space, the nature of whether it's a big space, whether it's small space, you know, now this room is bigger, this room has certain big space. When I put more things, then it has less space. Okay. It has changed. You know, the space has become smaller or bigger. It can become that. But that the nature of that space, whether it's becoming bigger or small, hasn't changed by its own nature, in sense that it is still merely absence of that something that can be abstracted and something that can be touchable, you know. Unlike like the glass, you know, the nature of the glass can change, you know, when you know, yeah, when it's broken, then it doesn't have the function of the cup or the glass. The space, whether it becomes small or big, it still has same functioning. It still has the same that nature. It doesn't change in that way, you know. So, so the change in the space is not because there is a change in the cause of the space itself, but because of other things. So I think that is different than when we talk about impermanent, that is being changed and transformed or decaying by its own cause, by its own cause, you know. But still, the space is still interdependent, because the space also have, no matter how small space, it still has directional parts. You know, even it is very small space, still it has the west side, north side, south side, east side. And again, when we talk about that particular space, whether it's the north side, whether it's the south side, whether it's, then if it's side, then one space becomes too many space. You know, if there's 10 directions, then it become 10, one space become 10 space. And, you know, and so again, when you try to do the same kind of analysis, it has many spaces. So then, because it has many parts from the directional point of view. So because there's many parts from the, even in the space directional point of view, and therefore it is not a partless, it has a part. And since it is a part, then the analysis then is same, whether the space is, whether it's inherently existing one with its parts, each of parts, or is different from each of those parts. So when you do some analysis, it's the same way, but it exists by depending on its all parts. You know, the space in this cup, I mean glass, is made of all the different spaces of those directional parts. If you take about all those directional parts, then there is no space in this cup of glass. So the space in that glass is made out of, you know, all the spaces of the directional space in this glass. So to speak, so that is dependent arising. Another way of putting it, you know, I have never seen it, but I think, you know, whether it makes sense or not, sometimes I like to play myself, you know. But of course, it is something that we can think about it, you know, contemplate about it, you know, because we talk about mutual dependent arisings, you know. When we talk about space, is absence of something that can be abstracted or touchable. If there's no If there's no object of something that can be abstracting, something that can be tangible, then we cannot talk about absence of that object, do we? And so therefore it's dependent on that. No. We are talking about absence of something that is absence of something that can be objective. If there is nothing that, if there is no objective objects, then we cannot talk about something that is absent of that object. In that sense, the space, the idea of that something that is absence of something that is abstracting depend on something that's abstracting objects. Without that, we cannot, it's like samsara and nirvana. So from that point of view, it is still dependent arising because it's dependent on something that is abstracting objects, something that is tangible objects. Because without that tangible object, without that abstracting object, we cannot talk about absence of that objects. Does it make sense? Did it blow your mind more? Confuse more? But again, that is one way of thinking dependent arisings. Definitely in scriptures you find about the parts of the directional parts, and therefore it depends on those parts. But because also in the scripture they talk about mutual dependent arisings, and in scriptures they don't give this as an example, but I think we can apply this one also here, because in emptiness it applies. So I think it has same. In emptiness, if there is no book, there is no emptiness of the book. The emptiness of the book is dependent on the book. Without the book, you cannot talk about emptiness of that book, the ultimate nature of that book. Without the computer, there's no emptiness of the computer. There is not ultimate, so it is dependent on that book. And similarly, the very phenomena, the very idea, the very concept of the space that is empty of absence of that objecting, something that is abstracting, I think it also depends on that abstracting objects. So therefore, it doesn't have to be impermanent to be dependent arising. Of course, if we think of dependent arising only in the term of cause and effect, then we cannot apply that. Do you get it? If you are thinking dependent arising only from the point of view of depending on cause and conditions, then those permanent phenomena cannot apply that. But when we talk about dependent arising by depending on its parts, which we talked before, and when we talk about dependent arising, mutually dependent arisings, then then it doesn't have to be impermanent to be a dependent arisings. Something which is permanent also can be a dependent arisings. So I think that with that, then you can, same thing with the cessation and the space and the emptiness. So with that, so here then the reason for that, here Lama Tsongkhapa explained, when we establish those compounding phenomena, conditioned phenomena, even though they are not inherent in existence, but at the same time, there is agent and actions, the subject, the agent, and the actions. Okay, we do not refute that. Even though there's no inherent existence, or it is inherent existence refuted, but still there is agent or the subjects and the actions. The actions and the subject who is creating the actions, And there is bondage and liberation. So that is samsara and the nirvana. Okay. There is samsara and a nirvana. Okay. And there is cause and effect. Even though they are not truly existence, we can still establish cause and effect, samsara and nirvana, the actions and the subject or agent, the object of apprehensions and the mind or the persons who apprehend those objects can be established. So there's no contradictions to establish them not truly existing at the same time that there is cause and effect, there's samsara and nirvana, there is actions and the subjects, and the object to be apprehended or comprehended, and the subject that is comprehending or apprehending, So there is, in relation to the compounded phenomena, we have no problem with that. So if that is the cases within the non-compounded phenomena, then it is saying same thing here. When that is established, even though non-product or non-compounded phenomena, such as ultimate nature, the emptiness, and analytical cessations, are not established by truly existent or inherent existence, but still one can establish or proceed well the presentation of object of attainment on the path. So the ultimate nature or the emptiness as an object of attainment to the path. And we can also establish or proceed object of apprehension, the emptiness, to be object of apprehension by the wisdom, the object of apprehension by the wisdom realizing, and the jewel of Dharma as refuge of disciples, and the cessations, even though there's no truly existing cessations, but at the same time, we can establish and proceed that the cessation and the wisdom realizing emptiness, the path, as the jewel of Dharma, and as a refuge, the object of refuge. So all these non-compounded phenomena such as emptiness, and the cessations, even though they do not truly existence, but they have their own functionings and effects, and they can be established. And therefore, it would be pointless to assert them as a truly existence. So therefore, you don't have to assert or establish them as truly existence, because you think if you don't establish or proceed as truly existent, they cannot function, So he's saying, even though it's not truly existent, it can still function, just as it is with the conditioned phenomena. Even though with the condition, even they are not truly even though they are not truly existence, but they can be established as a functioning, In same way, unconditioned phenomena, even though they are not truly established, but they can have still their own individually yeah. So are we clear? Is okay? Another way of okay, maybe that's way. And then another reputation by which there not being one with many, and I think I already kind of talk a little bit. You should also investigate whether uncompounded phenomena are one or different from their basis of designation and negate their inherent existence. same reason that same thing we use. So as I mentioned, even with all this phenomena, it has is the basis to impute it or designate it. And each of those has many parts. And so whether it is one with those designated objects or whether it's a different, just as we did with others. And through that, it can't be inherently existing one. If it is inherently existing one, then there will be too many problems, Then, and if it is different, then again, it will be very unrelated. And again, same problem that we have seen. So through that, again, we can establish them as truly existence. And if you cannot hear, you say, if you cannot refute non-truly existent or uncompounded phenomena through those kind of reasoning logic, then also that will mean that you will also not be able to refute conditioned phenomena as also inherent existence. They are same, If you can establish one of them as not truly existent, then you should be able to establish both of them as not truly existent. If you cannot establish one of them as non truly existence, then you cannot establish the other as non truly existence. So that is where it is. Then I think and I don't know whether I want to read the kind of next ones. I think there is a lot of there is some kind of doubt or cautions that if it's not truly existence, then that emptiness will become a nihilistic emptiness, and so then explaining why those emptiness are not nihilistic emptiness, and so I think there is a lot of that. And then next one, there is another argument, not argument, some things, like emptiness is truly existent. Conventional phenomena, relative phenomena are not truly existent, but emptiness is truly existence. Based on some of the quotations that you find in some of the scriptures. And also, I think it is possible for a lot of people to think that way. Emptiness is because emptiness is the solution to all the problem. Then we think that is the ultimate. Do you get it? Other things are not the final ultimate solution to all our problems, but emptiness is the solution to all the problem. Therefore, it should be the ultimate. There is sometimes we come with that kind of ideas, that come, I guess maybe that is also one of the reasons why, when certain spiritual path, when they believe there is a creator God, whatever you call, who is most powerful, then they become the ultimate because they are the answer to the everything, and so here, from Buddhist point of view, emptiness seems to be the key to to end all the sufferings, and therefore, then there is reason to feel that is the ultimate, And then from a scriptural point of view, so then here, in a 60 stanza of reasoning, where it could says, when the victor, here victors mean Buddha, teach the nirvana as one and only truth. Okay, so you see in some of the, the emptiness and the nirvana. When we talk about nirvana, then there are, natural nirvana and Lobunamda, the natural cessation is the emptiness of that, the emptiness of your mind. Then when you are free from all the delusions, when your mind is free from all the delusions, that the emptiness of that mind, and then other cessations that your mind that has been free of all the delusion by applying the antidote. That is the other cessations, the two cessations, And so nirvana here could mean both. So here in that, it says in the scriptures, it has shown that nirvana is the only one and the only truth. Who the scholar would conceive that race is not the opposite, and then the wise or the scholars, would conceive that race, which is not the nirvana, and the emptiness is the opposite. That is not truth. The opposite is not truth. And this one is the only truth, only and one truth, and the others are the opposite is not truth. So, so since some practitioner scholars take this as a literally, and then therefore, by taking this as literally, then they think emptiness is ultimate truth. Okay, there is that misunderstanding. So here there is only nirvana said to be truth, while everything else is said to be untrue. And also in the Nagajuna's, praise to the spirit of reality, all the sutra teaching emptiness that was set forth by the victors counteract mental afflictions, and they do not diminish these realms, And all the sutras, such as personal paramita sutras and so forth, where Buddha teaches emptiness, they all are taught by the Buddhas to counteract or to overcome all the mental afflictions or delusions. And they do not diminish this realm, and they do not diminish these realms. So here Lama Tsongkhapa is saying, this is the sutra teaching emptiness, absence of inherent existence, for the sake of abandoning mental affliction. They do not teach the realms of natural purity do not exist. So it does not say that the natural purity is the emptiness of that mind, the emptiness, so cessation of purity, the cessation of purity, the cessation, one is the cessation of purity of the emptiness of that mind, which has always been there from the beginning, and then the purity that has been achieved through applying the antidotes, but here it is calling the emptiness, So here Lama Tsongkhapa is saying that word, when he says true, only one true, that has been mistaken to be a truly existing or ultimately existence. So here he is saying, even though word is used as a true, it doesn't mean that. It has a different meaning. So again, here the word has been misunderstood. So Lama Tsongkhapa trying to clarify that. Okay. So here what Lama Tsongkhapa is saying is, that the scripture's meaning has been understood wrongly. And the meaning of that, what that means true or untrue, is actually clarified Buddha himself in other sutras. And so then Lama Tsongkhapa quoting that here, in a way he says, amongst the ultimate truth is unique. Okay. It is this nirvana, which has the quality of non-deceptions. So here, the true mean non-deceptions. It doesn't mean it's truly existence. Do you get it? it means non-deceptions. And all composed things, so all others phenomena which are not the emptiness, all other relative phenomena, all other conventional phenomena have the quality of being false and deceptive. And so that is meaning of truth and false. When Buddha says nirvana, emptiness is the only truth, he means that the emptiness, nirvana, is non-deceptive. And when Buddha said in the sutras, all other relative and conventional phenomena are false and not truth, what it means is deceptive and false. Okay, and then the meaning of what deceptive and what is not deceptive then comes later, you know. So in terms of the emptiness, you know, is not deceptive because the mind that is perceiving the emptiness directly, the direct perceptions that is perceiving the emptiness, to that mind, the emptiness appear, you know, exactly as it exists. It doesn't appear inherently existence to that direct perception that is perceiving the emptiness directly. When the object of that mind, emptiness, appear to that mind, it appears non-truly existence. And the reality of that phenomena is non-truly existence. So there is no deceptions. The way thing exists and the way it appears to that mind. Do you get it? So it is not deceptive. Whereas all conventional phenomena, the mind that perceives those conventional phenomena directly, to that mind, the conventional phenomena appear inherent existence. Even though things do not exist inherently, but that the conventional, the mind that is perceiving conventional phenomena, any of the conventional phenomena, to that mind, the object appear inherent existence. And so therefore, even though the things are non-inherent existent, but to that mind, it appears inherent existence. So therefore, those conventional phenomena are deceptive and false because it gives different appearance to the mind that is perceiving it directly. Whereas emptiness, it doesn't give deceptive appearance to the mind that is perceiving directly. Do you get it? So therefore, that is what it means by deceptive and false. What it means by true and deceptive. And so when he say, when Buddha said in that some sutra is only truth, it doesn't mean it's truly existence. It just means it's undeceptive. And so I think, yeah. So here at the end, Lama Tsongkhapa making, you know, at the end of that line, therefore, what is the point of being attached to mere names without thinking deeply about their meanings, you know? So here saying you have not thought about what really meaning of that meaning when it is said the only one truth. It doesn't mean that is truly existence. It just means it's not deceptive. And so you have to understand that and not get confused by just a word. You know, sometimes we do get a lot of confused by just a word. And so you have to analyze enough to not to get confused by those words. So that is what it is. So here also a stance of reasoning is similar, conditioned existence, and nirvanas. Neither of those two exist. So, but here when you say neither two of those exist, it means neither of those two inherently exist, okay? On conventional, there is conditioned existence as well as nirvana. On relative level, on conventional level, there is samsara and nirvana. But both samsara and nirvana do not exist inherently. Through the knowledge of existence, that is what is expressed by the nirvana. So this is an explanation both existence here, samsara, peace, nirvana, do not inherently existence. And that nirvana is posited as very object of knowledge, and that inherently existence do not exist. So being that the case, though, so then how can this be a nihilistic emptiness? Again, is so then the scriptural meaning of the Nagarjuna's praise of spirit of reality, again, it is in order to avoid the apprehensions of truly existing, the ignorance, which is the root of all mental afflictions, the Sutra teachings on emptiness, and the emptiness here means absence of inherent establishment or existence. Teach that conceived object of apprehension do not exist. So conceived object of apprehension, that ignorance, is truly existence. So the conceived object of that ignorance is truly existent, and that object does not exist. And so such teaching, they do not teach emptiness does not exist. What it teaches is the object of that ignorance that is truly existent do not exist, but it does not teach that emptiness does not exist actually. And here the emptiness is naturally pure and that negate the object of apprehension of true existence, the two types of self, the self of person and the phenomena. So in short, here, although emptiness exists, it exists conventionally, it exists relatively, but it is not truly established, or it does not exist truly or inherently. That is why this scripture passage serves as a source for refuting that the propositions, the emptiness, that naked object, negation, true existence, does not exist neither. And in order to abandon all the afflictive emotion, it's not necessary to realize emptiness or ultimate suchness. And sometimes, because basis on that, sometimes you think, you don't need to realize the emptiness. You don't need to realize the emptiness because, in some of in the materials teachings as well as some others, there are some verses like Dila Sajjad and Dila Shawaj. There's nothing to be abandoned, there's nothing to be accomplished. You find many verses like that. And when you take it too literally, then that is what you think, oh, there's no need to overcome afflictive emotion, there's no need to achieve path. Sometimes you take that too literally in that way. Do you get it? There are many verses like that in sutras, material works, others, where there's nothing to be abandoned, no need to abandon, no need to achieve. But when they say that, what it means is there is nothing that need to abandon inherent existence. There's nothing that need to be achieved inherent existence, but it doesn't mean there's nothing that you need to abandon. There's nothing that you need to achieve. You need to achieve the path, the wisdom realizing emptiness. And so that we shouldn't mix up. So that is where I think Lama Tsongkhapa also clarifying, like something like here, where they think in order to abandon all mental affliction, it is not necessarily less emptiness, the ultimate suchness. And then in the press, it says impermanent, emptiness, and suffering. Those three serve as to cleanse the mind, who serve to cleanse the base is this, and phenomena do not have inherent existence. And phenomena do not have inherent existence. Meditation on this as Dhammadhatu. So here what it explains is, in order to purify, cleanse, or eliminate all our afflictive emotions, then we need to meditate on impermanence. We need to meditate on nature of impermanent. We need to meditate on nature of suffering, the nature of suffering. We need to meditate on emptiness. Here, I think when you said three, emptiness, the emptiness here, I think might be referring to the more gross level of emptiness, okay? So gross level of emptiness, impermanent, gross level of emptiness and suffering. And those three serve to be cleanse the mind, to purify and cleanse those afflictive emotions. What serve to cleanse is best is this. So what is the best among all these antidote that cleanse and overcome or purify all these afflictive emotions is the phenomena that don't have inherent existence, the subtle emptiness. The subtle emptiness that is absent of inherent existence. And so that one is the best antidote to purify, to cleanse, to overcome all the afflictive emotions. So I think if we do that, then I think it becomes better. The first three are way to purify, the meditation, the wisdom realizing impermanent, the nature of sufferings and gross emptiness. It helps to purify, cleanse and overcome the delusions. But the best is the subtle emptiness, and the wisdom realizing the subtle emptiness of non-inherent existence is the best antidote towards that. Yeah. And that is the Dhammadhatu means same, the sphere of is the emptiness is a different term that we use, So one need to take the emptiness as the object of meditation, and then one try to meditate on that emptiness, the subtle emptiness, and that subtle emptiness is the best purifier or cleanser of all those afflictive emotions. And again, so that being the case, so then therefore, again, how can that be a nihilistic emptiness? So, and then there is, I think maybe we'll have kind of here. Next week, we talk about two truths. So it comes to that, I think, right. So then, So if there are any questions, please. I think there is one question where you say is confusing the not non-existence. I think it has been clarified, yeah? Has it been clarified?
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely, thank you.
Okay. So if there is any question, I can take one question. Otherwise, you can have during the discussions. And I think sometimes some of those these teachings, or when you are reading, especially this part, one of the difficult part is, I think, Lama Tsongkhapa is refuting some of the misunderstanding by certain practitioners or philosophers at that time, and so there is, and sometimes if you don't have good understanding what their views are and how it's being refuted. Sometimes it can be a little bit complicating, and sometimes
Hello? Hello?
yeah. So
Yeah.
so then we can do the dedications, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, we can start the dedications.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we lost John or not.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, are you there, John?
I got called away, yeah.
Dedications.
Yep.
Yeah. Gyawadi nyoto da lama Tsongkhapa dowa chi nyamalupa te sala gubarasho. May the supreme jewel Bodhicitta that is not arise and grow, and may that which is arise and not diminish but increase more and more. Jigden kamde pende malupa kangle chungwe sambe yishin no karin chungme tenzin jatso la sowa deso tuje lundo sho. You who uphold the subtle moral way, who serve as a wonderful bearer of all sustaining, preserving, spreading Manjuna victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplish manifesting prayer, honoring the teachers, severe myself and others, your disciple, please live long. Venerable One, to you whose kindness exists that of all the conqueror for those who wander in the far places, especially the West, mindful of your loving concern for us, in intention descending again in the family of far distant land, we make this request, O Lama, please live long. Thank you very much, everyone. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe.
Thank you.